With challenges of population growth, the need to address sustainable development has become a global priority. Access to renewable sources of energy is a fundamental answer to this problem, and leaders of all nations are in the position to encourage and influence energy policies and legislation in their respective countries to aid in this urgent matter. The Commonwealth Parliamentary Association of the UK, the United Nations Development Programme, and the Parliament of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago hosted the Caribbean Regional Workshop in Port of Spain from December 7th to 10th, 2015. This collaborative effort sought to empower regional leaders in an effort to achieve sustainable development goals and provide them with tools needed to make an impact on a national level. During the workshop, interviews were conducted with some of the participants to capture their views of the roles of parliamentarians in the successful implementation and achievement of SDGs. Garvin Perry. What are the main opportunities and challenges the Caribbean currently faces in terms of energy and sustainable development?
Right now, we do recognize that as a Caribbean, even though we come and we basically exist in a common space, a lot of our realities differ vastly. Within the Caribbean, our diversity is so great that we move from islands like Trinidad and Tobago, which is an energy-rich state whose GDP is dependent on oil and gas, as opposed to other Caribbean islands who lack natural resources and they depend primarily on tourism or other business-type sectors. This also results in a disparity in the level of development within these countries. Working in community-based organizations, you can recognize as you tour the Caribbean and you start working with community groups that the reality of someone in Trinidad where everyone basically has access to internet and running water and electricity and heating and electric appliances is totally different to someone in Guyana or someone living in other Caribbean islands which may not be as fortunate. So as a result, although the impacts of climate change and other climatic development and adversity is going to impact us all equally, we are at different points on the scale in terms of what we have accessible to us, how the cost of energy. For example, the cost of energy in Trinidad is significantly cheaper than you would find it across the Caribbean or even the Commonwealth or globally by and large. This has resulted in different cultural norms towards the use and efficient use and conservation of these resources.
How do you envisage the role of parliamentarians with regard to the SDGs?
So the role of the parliamentarian with respect to sustainable energy goals is that parliamentarians are the one charged with the legislative power of the country. They are also the representatives of the people. This is where the people's voices are echoed and heard, and that is where they get it into the legislation or the laws of the country per se. So the role of the parliamentarian is one, to ensure that they provide realistic guidance towards the constituency because they look at them at leaders, and leaders are really dealers in hope. And we have to hope towards sustainable development. If not, we know it could be catastrophic for the earth. So the parliamentarian has to, one, ensure that the constituents or the people within their countries are aware, they're educated. They themselves must be educated so that they are making wise decisions and that they can also educate persons with the accurate information and correct expertise. Education also means you may not know everything, but at least knowing where to get the information, the correct information, and they must make decisions in harmony with this and represent and support their constituents towards sustainable development goals by, one, enacting legislation that would support this, two, ensuring that there is proper enforcement and follow through, three, ensuring that there is the adequate financing and funding to ensure that these arms are able to function and execute their responsibilities appropriately. Because what use would it be to create the world of legislation and then there is no funding to have wardens take care of it?
Final thoughts.
This workshop brought together a group of diverse parliamentarians from across the Caribbean. It allowed them to do some cross-training and cross-learning from each other, and it placed the SDG agenda on the front burner for them, and I'm certain that they'll be at least speaking about it for the next couple of days. The learning outcome was that, someone rightly pointed out today it was a mock committee meeting, and really in real committee meetings you have opposition and government, and oftentimes they are asking different questions because their intended answers or what they want to know is entirely different. But at least taking away from today, we recognize that the issue really is sustainable development, and not trying to one-upsmanship or that kind of thing, but looking to pushing the agenda towards the 17 SDG goals. So harmonizing these views, looking at it in a critical manner and seeing what applies to you, implementing it, enforcing it, and providing it not only with the correct policy decisions and legislation, but also with the support and advocacy that is needed outside of the Parliament, will definitely look towards a sustainable future for us.